Alright, so now we're going to be going over how to use parameters and how to script input for our player movement. So we're going to be applying a walking animation to our character. So let's go into our animations, go to your walking folder, and you want to go down to the walk forward animation. Go ahead and select the animation clip and drag it into your animator window. Now let's go ahead and create some transitions. One going to and coming from. Alright, now let's go ahead and create some parameters. Click the little plus icon right here. You want to go ahead and select float. Name this walking. Alright, now go ahead and select your first transition. Open this up a bit. Under the conditions tab right here, go ahead and select the drop down menu. And you want to select walking. And we want walking to be greater than 0.1. Because we're going from idle to walking, the value has to be greater. Now coming from walking to idle, we want it to be less than 0.1. So for the first transition, when we press the W key, it's going to be greater than 0.1, then he's going to start walking. Coming from walking to idle, we're going to be releasing the key, which will eventually drop the value below 0.1, which is going to lead us into our idle state. So now we need to go ahead and create our script to control that movement. Right click, create JavaScript. I'm just going to name this player controller. Double click to open it up in MonoDevelop. Now we need to go ahead and create a internal variable, internal var. It's going to be named animator. It's going to be a type animator. This is going to be for our animator controller. Then we need a couple of variables for our horizontal and vertical movement. So var HOR of type float. We need one for our vertical movement as well, so var ver float. Then in our function start, we want to go ahead and include a get component for our animator. So animator equals get component animator. Now we need to go ahead and include some information in our update. So HOR equals input.getAxis horizontal. Same thing with our vertical. Vertical is going to equal input.getAxis vertical. Now this is just applying the vertical and horizontal axis to these variables up here. Now we need to go ahead and make sure that it's going to apply those values to our animator parameters. So we need to apply function fixed update we're going to say animator.setFloat, and here we need to include the name of the parameter, which is walking. We're going to be using the vertical key, so we're going to type in ver, which is our variable. And this is going to set our walking parameter to a positive number once we're actually pressing our vertical key, which is the W key. Alright, let's go ahead and save this. And you want to apply this to your character. So you can just drag and drop it into the inspector panel while you have your avatar selected. Alright, so now if we go into our game mode, I'm going to go ahead and move my animator window down back here again so we can take a look at what's going on while we're moving around. So take a look at these states in here while we're in our game window. Press play. And right now we're just in the idle state. And it's going to continue looping and looping. Now when I press the W key, he's going to start walking forward. And as long as I have the W key held down, it's going to continue looping over and over until I let go, and now it's in the idle state once again. If you take a look at the parameters, if I press the W key, it's going to go all the way up to 1 and stay there until I let go. It goes all the way back down. It's back into the idle. Now we can go ahead and include another animation for our running. So let's go back into our animations folder, go into sprinting, and I'm going to go ahead and select Run Impulse. Now I've modified this clip a bit. It's going to start at 151 and it ends at 183.8. Now you also want to make sure that loop pose is selected. We can go ahead and preview this in here. And we're going to go ahead and just open this up and drag and drop our animation clip in here. Now we want to have a transition from walking forward to run. So right click, make transition. Right click, make transition. So in this one, we need to include a new parameter for our running. So once again, make a new parameter over here. It's also going to be a float. And I'm going to name it run. So for this one, the conditions is going to say run. And this one, we want it to be greater than 0.5. Coming back, we want to be less than 0.5. So in this case, going from walking to running, we want the value to be greater than 0.5. So anywhere from 0.1 all the way up to 0.4, we're going to be walking, but anything past that, we're going to start running. And it's going to be the complete opposite coming from run. So anything above 0.5, we're going to be running. Once it dips below 0.5, then we're going to start walking. So let's go ahead and include this in our script as well. So all we need to do is just copy this. And change the parameter name right here to run. And the reason we just need to do that is because it's both going off the vertical input. So go ahead and click save, minimize, and let's test it out. So here's our character. Hold on W and then he starts running. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my camera is attached to my character controller. So with my main camera selected, just go ahead and drag and drop it under the avatar. And we want to make sure that our camera is in a good angle. So with my camera selected, go to Game Object, Align with View, and there we go. Now let's go ahead and hit play and see how this works again. So he's in his idle state. I go ahead and open this up. He's in idle. I press the W key and hold down. And then he goes into the running. Let go, goes into walk, and then he finally goes into idle. So that is how you play around with parameters and how you script input for your character controller.